Hey, it's your girl Nicole, and welcome to another episode of the Risers Hub podcast. Happy Monday, happy new week, new episode. I'm always excited that you've made the choice to plug into the Risers Hub podcast, knowing that your life is super busy and there are so many other podcasts that you could listen to. So welcome. And please remember, we are all on our own wellness and life journey, but let's work together to rise and be our best selves. Okay. Have you ever felt like something was right or wrong in your life, but didn't go with that gut or intuitive feeling? The feeling may have scared you, or it's not a normal thing you do within your circle of friends, so you take the safe route. And then later you realize your intuition about something was right all along. Today, we are talking about intuition and intuitive thinking with expert and intuitive coach Abby Gooch. She is the founder of Life Force Connection, One Heart Global, The Intuitive Child, and the author of Touch the Light, The Miracle of You, and the Intuitive Success Coaching Process and Certification Program. Her work with children and adults began professionally when she opened up her own professional practice at 19 years old, 19, and went on to build a wellness center, certification school, and now travels the world for the nonprofit One Heart Global to support the children of our world to have a home of love and safety, and to provide them with the intuitive guidance to succeed in life. You can find more about Abby at lifeforceconnection.com. So let's get right into it, and let's welcome Abby Gooch to the Risers Hub. Welcome to the Risers Hub podcast. Abby, I want you to talk a little bit about intuitive coaching, how you got into it at such a young age. I remember meeting you. I didn't have kids then, so 7 years ago. Yeah. I remember you being very young, and I was like, how does she know all this? And she's so young. So I want you to talk about what made you get into it and where you are with it right now.
Yeah, I love that. So, what made me get into it is just following my heart. Like, I just absolutely love people. And so I just felt so much joy and bliss and just like excitement from following my intuition. And it really was like the road and is maybe not so much now, but very much so the road less traveled, right? Like, I had a scholarship to go to traditional college, and I'm like, I don't like this. I'm like a round peg in a square hole. Get me out. And so I was just like, I felt my heart and my gut, and I'd see these visions. So, internal visions through my third eye of sitting with people just like you and I, and that they had the answers within them. And as long as I held the space of unconditional love and non-judgment, that they would heal themselves. So all this stuff I was studying about like Freudian theory, whatever, I was like, dude, I have my own theory. I want to go test it out. And I want to be happy. And I'm certainly not happy here. So I'm going to trust what I feel, and I'm going to trust what I know. And so that deep knowing is this gut feeling. And that's really how I describe intuition as an inner knowing. So, yes, our emotions are part of it, right? So, to me, the heart is the gateway. So, the reason why is we're all love at our core, and everything has love in it. So, when we tune into the vibration of our heart and love, we're put into alignment with our highest. We're seeing the truth, we're seeing the beauty, we're seeing the love of everything. And then from your heart, so you imagine opening the door to your heart, then you move down into your gut. So, I really feel it as like a tunnel of love, like it's a spiral of light down to your center point, and you'll feel it click in. There's a place of certainty, there's a place of truth. And you could even just say your name and you'll feel, oh, yeah, that is my name. I know that's true. And then you could say a different name and you're like, oh, that's not true. Okay. So you have your own truthometer. It's called your intuition, right? It knows what's true and not true. So in following the truth within me and my own heart, I was like, I had these dreams and visions of just helping people. And so I followed it. The dean, I was just telling this story to somebody else the other day. He's, are you crazy? Like, you have a scholarship and like you're on like so I actually had an academic and leadership scholarship, but I actually played basketball too. As soon as I got there, they're like, dude, will you try out for the team? And so I was on the basketball team, and it was a private school in Los Angeles. So I don't know what division it was, but I had the road paved, but I was like, this just doesn't feel good. So no matter what the road supposedly should have looked like, I
Hmm.
didn't really care. And I was like, maybe I am crazy, but I'm still leaving. And I felt so free and I couldn't even eat the cafeteria food, so I bought, like, all these, like, naked juices, and I'm, like, giving them out to people on the streets, and I was like, "This is my life. This is who I am. I'm gonna connect with people. I'm gonna trust myself, and I'm gonna follow this theory that we have the answers within us." So, that's really where you could say intuitive success coaching is the process I created, and that probably happened maybe a year later, like 6 months later, I opened an office and tested the theory, and it worked, and I started learning NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, so I was able to help people shift their blocks. So, basically, I could see their blocks, help them shift it, and then move into alignment with their intuition. So, like, parents are bringing their kids. It was like my first client was in his 50s. I'm like, "What am I doing? I'm 19." But I'm like, "Wait a minute. I trust that I must have the answer for this person because they're here in my office." So I just grew that momentum of that love and the results, like, I'm very big on results, and then it grew into a wellness center, and then, honestly, I started teaching at different colleges, and they're like, "Why don't you have your own school?" So I developed a certification program, which is now the Intuitive Success Club/coaching certification, where we train entrepreneurs how to monetize their gifts. So they're aligned with their purpose, their soul, they clear their blocks, and then they're like, "Dude, like, how do I wanna make money to support myself from
Right.
love?" And then kids, we have an intuitive child program for kids because it's more about dreams when you're a kid. But yeah, I hope that answers your question, how I got into it. There you go. There's a long
Yeah.
answer. How I
No,
got it.
so what you said in there is that you work on helping people open up their hearts. And I know for a fact there's probably a lot of listeners out there, okay, how do you open up a person's heart? Because that is the thing that blocks a lot of things. Whether you've gone through a bad experience, whether you just don't even know what that means. Like, where do you start when it comes to opening up a person's heart? Because you said it perfectly, like, it's you try and figure out what their block is, and their block is usually something that comes from within, which is probably their heart. So how do you even tap into that as a coach?
Yeah, so you actually be the love. So here's the thing, there's this book called Hands of Light, and it shows how energy works, that when you are in the same, like, physical proximity, so even us, we're interfacing through the computer, but our energies are interacting. So because I'm in my heart, it's naturally opening your heart just by the essence of my very being. And same, you already are in your heart, right? But your being is affecting my energy. So the answer to your question is just be the love because you can't open somebody's heart. They open their own heart. But what happens is when you are in so much love and you're so inspiring to people because they're like, "Oh, I want what you have. You're so happy." Everybody naturally wants to open their heart. It's their natural state of being. Like for me, it's extremely hard to close my heart. Like I feel it's very unnatural, right? So the natural state of your being is to have an open heart. Now, if there's been hurt, then it's the healing. And that is sometimes the work that I do for people is getting back to the love within and healing the heart because it's just so precious. Like our hearts are just because they're the gateway to our soul, like they're the most precious thing. So take care of your heart, like
Right.
whatever it needs. It is way more intelligent than your mind, and yeah, the dean can think I was crazy, I didn't care. I trusted my heart, I really didn't, and
Yeah.
I, like, got in my 1984 Beamer, and I was like, anyway, like, there was a sense of freedom, and then when I wrote my book, I'm like, surfers are looking at me, I'm like, "They probably think I'm on drugs." I'm not. I don't do
Right.
any like, I'm just high on life, so that's the result of being connected to your intuition. So take that power and that purpose into what you love, and you can create a business, and if it's not a business, attract your partner, move into a new house, go traveling, whatever your heart's desire is. I honestly wanna say, like, your soul screaming at you. It's,
Right.
"Listen to me." And you, Nicole, have an amazing story of listening to what's true, and so to really have the authentic courage to
Mhm.
travel that road, less traveled, maybe, but ironically, people will probably follow you down that path that you just blazed. You're gonna be yourself and you're gonna feel amazing, and that is worth $1,000,000 right there. To be on purpose, that is where the money is. That's where the value is,
You know,
right?
it's funny because we were both very young when we met each other. I know I say I'm 110 years old all the time, but I think you were probably 19, 20. So I
Yes.
had to be about, I don't know, just California, so 23, 24. And you were explaining all this to me. I remember just we were walking somewhere and I remember looking at you trying to understand what you were talking about. And then let's fast forward 20 years later, 20 plus years later, and I'm on LinkedIn and I come across your name several times. And it just hit me like a brick wall. Like, I know exactly what she was talking about then. And I know for a fact because my heart and my mind are in a very different place right now. And I'm pretty much open. I wouldn't say 100%, but I'm pretty much open to letting people in and opening my heart to new opportunities and new things in life. And so when I saw your name, I was like, I have to connect with her because I'm in a different place now and I'm beginning to understand what she means by her intuitive coaching. When people come to you, what are they looking for? Have they gone to therapy? Have they done life coaching or they just wanted something completely different? What are they looking for when they come to you?
I love that. So I just gave a speech last Friday and I had this guy come up to me and he's, so what makes somebody want an intuitive coach? Great question. So I'm so glad you asked it because sometimes I wonder, right? Like people just find me and I'm like, okay, I'll just be on purpose and they'll find me. But like, why does somebody actually seek me out? Right. So typically I don't like to put any labels, but they're maybe experiencing some type of depression or anxiety and something isn't quite feeling right. Also, they're wanting to grow their income. They're like, hey, I know there's something inside of me that I want to express and I want it to get bigger. And so, like, how do I access that part of me that knows? Right. And it can be for a specific thing. Like, I want to meet my soulmate. I just say typically, though, most people come to me wanting to make more money, but the results, like, they do end up meeting their soulmate or getting that new house or whatever. So it's like a byproduct of being aligned. So, yeah, I know for me, like, my business is what keeps me in alignment because I have to be pure of heart and essence to be able to channel and be able to bring intuition to people. So, yeah, what I think that if somebody's just feeling like something's blocking them, something's off, and they know there's more, they are also connected to their intuition in the sense that they know there's more for them. And they're like, dude, can you help me?
And if you're out there listening, another way of looking at it too is that say that you're trying to build something in your life
Mhm.
and you're putting all the right pieces and blocks, at least you think you are, in place. But for some reason, it keeps falling apart. And you don't know why because you're doing all the right things. And then if you are doing something that you're trying to move forward with and it's just not coming together, that's the block. That there's something there that's there's a piece of you. This is my opinion, and this is from coaching other people. There's a piece of you that's blocking that pathway for you to just push through and get to the next level. And so I think that's why it's so interesting for me to talk to you because I think that's what you're talking about when you're trying to figure out what the block is and then help them find their own path. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I do. And I'm just really tuning in deeper because what I feel, and I just invite everybody to tune into your own intuition and ask yourself if this resonates with you. But my sense is almost every block is usually mental, emotional, and then gets stored in the body. And I can see it energetically. And you all probably feel it if you feel a block. I feel like it's safe to say and pretty accurate that the root of that block is fear because your essence is love. So when you're in your heart and you're connected to your intuition, you're clipping along. It's all good. Everything's flowing. And that's why the results are so great when you connect with your intuition because you're in love, right? Like love in the biggest sense, not just in love with
Yes.
the person, in love with life. So this block, if you can tune into, if you're experiencing a block, ask yourself, what am I afraid of? And if I weren't afraid, what would I do?
Yeah.
Because that's gonna start to free up the energy, and then ask your gut, "What are my next steps?" Because you do have the answer. Sometimes it's just about asking the right question, right?
Right.
But you free up that block that it can move, right? It can breathe, and so then The first 7 classes I do are chakra alignment, which when your chakras are aligned, you're aligned with your soul. So you start to balance the energy that's just meant to flow through you,
Right.
right? That's the intuitive activation series. It's just okay.
And explain chakra. Explain that to someone
So
who doesn't
chakra is
know
an
this.
energy center. So it's pretty funny. Like when I started teaching this to kids in the schools, I had this one teacher that got got upset, whatever the word is, by the word chakra because he's like, "No, it's religious." To me, it's not religious at all. It just means wheel. And a wheel, I really teach the chakras because they're energy centers. There's 7 main ones. You can go to the intuitive factor under the Life Force Connection site to learn what each one is, but it corresponds to so the energy within these specific places of your body corresponds to the mental and the emotional and the physical and the spiritual aspect of your being. So when you balance them, like for instance, the first one is the foundation of love, feeling safe. It's at your root, it's at the base of your spine, and it vibrates to the color red, and it's I am safe. So when you're feeling safe, you naturally move up to your second, which is a couple inches below your belly button. We went there, it vibrates to the color orange, and it's I feel, right? Which is why I said you're right on point as far as listening to your feelings, then from your feelings into your knowing, right? The third one's a couple inches above your belly button, and it vibrates to the color yellow, and that's your decision. It's your confidence. So it's I decide. I've taught retreats where people just step into the I decide energy and like completely change their life because they're like, holy cannoli, like I can actually decide my life. I
Exactly.
don't, I'm not going to be dictated to. Then you move up to your heart, which is the I love. So what do you love? And that vibrates the color green. It's I look outside, there's these beautiful green plants, like it's the food of the universe. And then from there, you open up to your throat, which is like the sky. It's this infinite blue. And it's, I speak my truth with love. What's your truth? So that opens, that frees the space. And then the next one is your third eye. So this is the inner eye where I was saying, I got visions. You can all get visions. You can even see them with your physical eyes. Sometimes you can see energy. And it's okay, I see. And so this is so beautiful too. Like one of these chakra ones, I do an I see you exercise where you see each other. And you can even do this for yourself, looking in the mirror and be like, I see you, right? Like you're seeing your soul and then you're seeing your highest potential. Then your seventh is your like crowning glory. It's your I am presence. So it's white light and it's the I am, right? It's like I am connected to the universe. I am, right? And the affirmation I think I use for that is I know because you're connected from your gut, which is I feel all the way up to I know. And so then you're in this like very confident knowing. People are like, oh, you have good self esteem. I'm like, oh, because I am connected to the confidence of my intuition. It's not a fake thing, it's a certainty. And that's the place you want to work from. That's the place you want to lead from. It's the place you want to create a business from, do your relation from, is that knowing. It's a very certainty.
Exactly. And I'm going to give another example. Like I was recently in a situation where I'm trying to go in one path. And so I hired someone to help me go in that path as far as the career is concerned and the wellness and all this other stuff. And so I kept looking over here, but she was looking over there. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you keep looking over there when I'm looking over here. And she's because I think that what path you keep taking, you try and keep taking that path and taking that path and taking that path, and things keep falling apart. And she goes, I'm looking over at this path because when I talk to you, you just get so excited and your energy level goes up to knots up, and you're just happier.
Right.
So she goes, that's why I'm looking over here and not over there. And she goes, and I'm trying to get you to move over here and not look over there. And I had to sit with myself for a minute and think about that. And just like you said, it's nothing but fear. And I'm not in a stage where I'm worried about what other people think, but I'm afraid to maybe fail or I don't know. It's just something that I'm not familiar with. So when you're not familiar with something, you don't want to take that path. And so I'm trying to let a lot of stuff go
Yeah.
and listen to my intuition and what's going on in here and move in that direction. And I noticed in the past, I don't know, 3 or 4 days after that conversation, that the conversations I was having was moving in the path that she was telling me to move into. And I could, and it was almost like an out of body experience watching myself in these conversations. And I was like, I was myself. I was happy. I was funny. I was explaining things. I was coaching and teaching, and people were feeling what I was feeling, and it was coming across in a way that it's never come across before. And so if you're ever in a situation where, like you said, it's a job or a house or a goal that you have or money that you want to make, and you're building the blocks and you think you're doing the right thing and you're moving towards the left, but it keeps falling apart, you need to start looking and moving towards the right,
Yeah.
because you're going to feel better about yourself. It's going to be scary because you think you're taking a wrong turn, but try and at least come halfway and start seeing how you feel and then start building from that.
Yeah. Yeah, the other thing I get, Nicole, is that that's your body's wisdom. Like, she's reflecting what your body is saying. Because if you're lit up towards a path, it's like me leaving college. It's, "Oh, I feel lit up going away from there." And so body is like feeling it, right? So it's to me, your body is just such a gift. It's like the instrument of your
Really
spirit.
is. Mhm.
So it's just listen, like, what feels better? Like, what feels lighter? It's
Yeah.
speaking through your body. Basically, your intuition speaking through your body, and she's reflecting that is what it sounds.
Exactly. And also too, listening to your body, I've always said that over the years. People are like, "How can you be so fit?" Or "How can you be this? How can you be that?" And I listen to my body. I'm very in tune with what's going on in here. And if something's off, I'm at the doctor or I'm at my therapist or I'm somewhere trying to make sure I get back in alignment. And so I also think that's true, like you said, when it comes to your heart and your mind, like you really need to be on top of that. And and I believe in fighting for your happiness and well-being. And so that's why I love talking to you, because you are finding that core in people and you're helping people. Like when I know I asked you the question, like, why would you need an intuitive coach? And I think that if you're fighting for your love of life and your happiness in life, I think an intuitive coach could be the answer for a lot of people out there.
I love that you said that. Yeah, because it really is like bringing you back to you. Like, I
Exactly.
remembering some of the things some clients have said is, "Yeah, you brought me back to myself. Like, you're the only person that can help me." I'm like, "Oh, I'm just a reflection of you seeing you clearly." Because remember, your intuition is the voice of your soul, it's the presence of your being. So when you connect to that, of course, you're going to be happy. And that kind of is maybe the goal of it all, the money, the relationship, the house, travel, whatever. Yeah. And it's you glow, like people seek you because you have something that they want. So I think it is happiness. It's a good way to put it.
So I have one more question for you. So, you know, over the years, I've learned to believe that your thoughts are separate from who you are as a person sometimes. And a person can learn now, let me see if I can phrase this. A person can learn not to listen to the inner voice, especially when it's negative or it's too emotional. And would you say that intuitive thinking is like that? Because you really have to. It's weird because I hear some experts say that inner voice is separate from you. And sometimes, like when you're listening to those negative thoughts, you can obviously control those negative thoughts. You can control what's going on in your head. But is that separate? Is that something completely different from intuitive thinking, or what do you think?
So, first of all, I love this question.
Okay.
And I want to just share a really quick story because it completely applies and it's funny to me.
Okay.
So, like, I think there's two different things. There is negative thoughts, and there's something called clairaudience, which is clear hearing, which you actually are hearing through your own mind. You are hearing a thought that's coming through your mind, and it's guidance. Okay. So, path one, negative thinking or thoughts, there's thoughts running all day long that you can pick up that aren't yours. So, you could just be sitting somewhere and at a coffee shop or something, and somebody could think you're beautiful. And you might pick up that person's thought that they just thought I was beautiful. You just picked up psychically, intuitively, somebody else's thought. Thought's not even yours, but you picked it up. Okay. Now there's also the negative, like self dialogue, which is clearly not healthy. So if your mind is, I'm stupid or whatever, like that is self-dialogue. It's a negative thing. So obviously you just don't, that's not love based. So the biggest thing is to move the thoughts into the love of your heart. So if you do
Okay.
feel negative thoughts, place one hand on your heart, let that love meet. I'm sorry, let that thought meet with the love of your heart. Then place your other hand on your belly and connect in and ask, what's the truth? That truth is the truth. Now, the other thing that I was saying is the clear audience. So this was I think 8 years ago, and we just gotten back from our first nonprofit trips. I have something called One Heart Global, where I go to orphanages and I teach kids. So this is our first one, and I think I treated my business manager to the trip. So we were celebrating back in La Jolla at the time. And I freaking love martinis. And he's had taken me to this like steak place that's overlooking the ocean. So I have like my martini and I hear like loud and clear, like, Abby just won, not another martini. And I was like, darn, but like, I really want one. But it was like clear as day. Don't have another martini. And so I look at him and I'm like, Sai, do you hear these voices in your head? Like telling you like to not do things or to do things. No, Abby, not everybody's like that. Like, and I was like, okay, I'm not crazy. I do hear things. That is the difference between negative thinking and clairaudience. So I teach my students, and I myself am ridiculously clairaudient, where I hear everything and I don't always like what I hear. But
Right.
guess what? It has always been correct. So I know what that feels like. It comes through my right ear. It's usually a third person voice as if somebody's talking to me. So it's through my own mind, my own thoughts, but it's like a direction, right? It's, hey, Nicole, go left instead of right. Like, you stupid person. That is a negative thought. That is clearly, right? So I think I painted a clear picture of the discernment to know, because you want to use your clear audience to help guide you on that path that's going to continue making you the happiest, the most prosperous, everything. And clearly listening to negative thoughts isn't going to do that.
Right. When I was asking the question, the reason why I was getting stumbled over the question is because you had such a great entry into the podcast, and then I was like, this is a silly question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. And I think now what I'm hearing is that yes, there are thoughts that ramble through your head, but we have the ability and we can control those thoughts by taking away the negative and hanging on to ones that are connected to our heart. Is that what I heard?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well
Yeah.
said. Know that into the love of your heart. And then when you're in your heart and you're in your gut, you're going to be the receptor of the clairaudience. You're going to be able to hear. You have the direct channel, right? Yeah, 100%.
So, as an intuitive coach, tell me where you are right now in your wellness journey.
Okay. Where I am in my wellness journey, I guess I don't even know how to answer that question. What does that mean on my wellness journey? What do you mean?
Well, wellness journey, because the wellness journey for me is taking care of your body, your mind, and your spirit, and going and having the ups and downs of life's challenges and how you're navigating through all that. Like, where do you feel you are? Do you feel like you have a good handle on where you are with your wellness? And or you're just like everybody else and you're just like, I'm struggling here. I can work on this and I know I got to do that. Because as a coach, people always come to us and we have to coach them into that. We don't tell them, we coach them into that. So I'm just wondering, like, where are you with your wellness journey?
Yeah. I think it's a daily practice, right? So, like, I'll meditate, I'll go to the beach, I do things that move me into alignment, keep me in alignment with my intuition, and then I'm taking action on those things. So, I think wellness is like really becoming the energy of that, right? Like continuing to do what makes you feel good. Um, and I even do my own classes, honestly, because if I feel a little off, it's okay, let me tune in here. What is my second chakra? So, I just feel that, and I too am like a mover. I really think we met when I was running. Like, I think I was just running. It's like, probably. I mean, I think it's a consciousness thing. It's like being conscious and then an upward choice.
It's fantastic. Abby, I want to thank you so much for being on my podcast. please let everyone know where they can find you on social media, website. Share that with us real quick.
Sure, you can just go to lifeforceconnection.com as the site. I think it's Lifeforce Connection on Instagram. Social media, I'm probably under Abby Gooch, so ABY, and Gooch is GOCH. And if you're feeling inspired just to get in a group energy and be part of our club, we have something called the Intuitive Success Club, where we do weekly classes and live sessions where you're just embodying this energy, like you're in your intuition and just creating a life and business you love. So yeah, you can just go to the intuitivesuccessclub.com to book an intuitive focus session. So we just talk with you and just like, hey, what's up? Let's help you and just help evolve that next level. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Lots of love, lady. So good to see you.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Remember, this podcast is meant for both education and entertainment purposes only. I am not a licensed therapist, so it's crucial to consult your physician, psychotherapist, or qualified health professionals for personalized advice. Until next time, take care. Hey, if you're enjoying this podcast, tell your friends to be my friends, and we can be friends. Hey, we can do this every week. Or just tell them to subscribe and share. Bye.